Welcome to Only the Bare Facts, a bold voice of truth, integrity, and transparency in a chaotic world. This channel is your destination for unfiltered stories, real-life lessons, and unwavering commitment to the word of truth. Finding redemption in the light of God's truth, Bear's journey is a testament to resilience, death, redemption, and faith. Now a warrior for truth, Bear shares his mission to expose darkness, foster genuine connections, and inspire others to live with authenticity and courage. Remember, steel sharpens steel. Together we shine. Let's live as awakened warriors, living in our divine identity. Be part of the solution in this chaotic world.
Welcome to the Bare Facts, session number 4. Thanks for joining me again today. Got my little ticker tape on the bottom there. If you like what you see, send a like, send a share, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And I don't know if you notice in the background there, I've got my red, white, and blue lights going today because today was an incredible day in the United States. So wow, what a week of insanity, corruption, manipulation, and freedom taking. Crazy place. Lots of stuff on the go. Lots of things we can review and have a look at today. I can't believe all the changes that have happened. Can't believe all the things that are going on in the world. Where should we start? Well, let's start with the family legacy. This guy. So here we are. We've gone through a week of Trudeau madness, trying to posture against the United States of America in a competitive trade tariff standoff. His dad, depending on which gene pool you believe he came from, spent 10 years ruining this country. Now he's spending 10 years ruining this country. And for some reason, these politicians are constantly unaccountable. I don't understand what the process is, but it is what it is. It doesn't seem to be anything we can really change a whole lot about. What's really interesting is right now, apparently he needs to put together another group of individuals, politicians, to support his objectives. In this committee is called the Council on Canadian and U.S. Relations. If you have a look at that list of who's on this committee, it's pretty unbelievable. Someone that we all know, and we all know quite well, especially in this province, because of the destruction she reigned on this province for the time period she was in. Lockdowns, here we run out of power that's coal generated because apparently it's too hard on the environment. And what does she do? She outlaws that, cost us millions of dollars. Yeah, you got it. She's on this committee, Canadian U.S. Relations Committee, to help Trudeau develop some kind of relationship with the United States, our neighbor, enabling us to have a better relation. This guy's a lunatic. And like I said, the idiots that he's got on this list are completely unacceptable. He thinks that she's going to help. I can't understand that. I can't understand how a guy with his minimal mental capacity or whatever puppets are pulling his strings think that Rachel Notley's going to help us in a relationship with the U.S. That woman almost destroyed this province. Once again, we had to get another government level in here to try to fix that. And that guy was corrupt as hell. We all know that. I mean, that was the part when we were literally shut down, tried to ruin our businesses, tried to ruin our livelihoods. And they're all, it's the same pot. It's the same pot of absolutely ridiculous individuals. What do we do about it? Well, I don't know. The list is ridiculous. That's definitely one thing that's going on. I don't think that Trudeau's ever going to try to develop a positive relationship with the United States. He's basically failing. He tries to bring all these people into this group that he's going to form to get a better deal with the U.S. The guy couldn't negotiate a deal. He already tried that once, and it failed. And so now we have another list. This is the liberal race list. So many great choices. Mark Carney. Mark Carney wants to be a liberal leader. Let me just play a little clip for you here that kind of shows a little bit about his integrity and how he views the economy in this country and how he has such a double standard in everything that the guy does. Now, keep in mind that he's been instrumental in every single stupid decision that Trudeau has made in the 10 years he's been in this country, trying to run this country. This guy, Carney, is behind the scenes constantly and in lots of different ways than we ever really realized. Let's check this out. Check out this clip.
you support the Prime Minister's decision to veto the Northern Gateway pipeline, Mr. Carney?
I understand the veto of the Northern Gateway pipeline.
Do you support it?
Given both environmental and commercial reasons.
Do you support it?
I think it's sensible. I wasn't involved in the decision, but I think it was the right decision.
And yet your company has invested billions of dollars in oil companies in both Brazil and the UAE to buy pipelines. You bought billions of dollars of pipelines as a company in the last 5 years. Do you support those investments?
Mr. Poilievre, there is a global energy system, and one of the issues, I'm trying to explain a bit of how the economy works. One of the
Thank you so much.
Well, it may help. One of the issues for this committee in thinking about a sustainable transition.
Do you support it?
Where is Canada's role in those as energy transitions from fossil fuels to renewables? And in different jurisdictions, into different geography, it matters. It matters,
Okay.
and this is a fundamental point.
Yeah.
No, sorry. This is a fundamental. You're finally getting to a point.
You've
that
exceeded the
is
time.
relevant to this committee's
What you're saying is you oppose
the
pipelines in
pathway.
Canada, but you support them in the UAE and in Brazil. That's what
There
you've
are
actually
specific-
said.
There are specific.
That's your double
pipelines.
standard.
It is not a double standard.
It is a
not
double standard.
No, it's not.
You
It's
make
not.
billions of dollars off
Mr.
foreign
Poilievre,
pipelines, and you shut them down here at home, putting our people out of work.
What do you even say to that? So this double standard man literally spends billions and invests billions of his corporate money. Let's remember that he's got, I think, a British passport, an Irish passport, a Canadian passport. So he's got 3 different nationality identities. He was the head of the National Bank in Britain. He was the head of the bank in Canada. He invests billions of his own investment money in foreign country pipelines. But this guy thinks blocking a pipeline from Alberta, from the resources we have, is a really smart idea. And he backs that concept and that idea. This guy wants to run the Liberal Party. I mean, think about this. Carney is the most wicked and dangerous member in the government circle. That was written by another, I think it was the head of the Liberal Party representative that actually said that about Carney a couple of years back. This guy's dangerous, okay? And speaking of freedoms and liberties, I'm going to skip to this one because this guy was directly connected to the fact that during the trucker convoy, bank accounts of protesters and people who supported the protest were frozen in this country. They did something that only happens in third world nations, and Carney played a direct connection to that. He was involved in that process. This guy wants to run the Liberal Party. That's ridiculous. And then we got another one. Let me play this clip for you. She wants to run the Liberal Party. This one cracks me up. I'll just let it play, and then I'll laugh afterwards. Watch this one. This really makes me laugh.
I will be firm and resolute in the defense of the national interest. You want someone as leader of the Liberal Party and as Prime Minister who Donald Trump is afraid of.
Afraid of? Donald Trump is afraid of her? I don't know what would be afraid of her. My cat would be afraid of her, and I don't have a cat. Nobody's going to be afraid of her. She actually thinks that she can perform to a level that would help this nation in its economic statement and its political statement on a global scale. She can't represent herself in any way that makes any sense at all. In fact, I want you to watch this clip. I mean, people get nervous when they speak. I do, certainly, but watch this one. I don't even know what she's doing back there. Is this a meth thing? Is this a cocaine thing? Is this some kind of mental disability? She wants to run the country. Watch this one.
Success of our province's most precious asset, our children. In the Louisville School Division, we believe that a child's ability to learn should never be limited by an empty stomach. When students have access to nutritious food, they are better equipped to focus, participate, and thrive in the classroom. We see the positive impact every day. Students who are more engaged, attentive, and ready to learn. But for many families in our community, access to healthy food can be a challenge. This is why today's announcement is so important. This investment will help ensure that more students have access to nutritious meals and snacks throughout the school day, which is essential for both their academic success and overall well-being. It is a powerful reminder that when we come together to support our youth, we are investing in a brighter future for all. I'd like to express our sincere gratitude to the federal government for prioritizing the health and education of our young people. Today's announcement shows true commitment to the future of our children and our community. It's now my great honor to introduce Deputy Minister Chrystia Freeland, who we have a family connection. It's nice to meet her. Please join me in giving her a warm welcome. Thank you.
That head never stopped moving. She never stopped twitching for the entire time that the guy spoke. These are the people that have been brought into the Liberal Party to lead the Liberal Party. I mean, I didn't vote for them. I'm not a voting member of the Liberal Party, but this is what's going to represent this nation from that particular side. We're in trouble. If those people get in, we're in trouble. You know, freedom of assembly is a pretty important thing. And, you know, they were punishing the trucker convoy protesters by freezing their bank accounts. And in the midst of all this madness, I got to show you one more guy, because this guy wants to be part of the electoral process in the Liberal Party. Watch this one. Entertaining.
How's your French?
No.
No French?
No French.
Okay, the Liberal Party of Canada is the party of official bilingualism. It's going to be a tough one. I don't speak French either, so
The point is that whether the Quebecers or English Canadians, it's not the language that matters, it's what is that they deliver to them.
But the language matters very much in Quebec.
No, at the end of the day, Quebecers see who delivers what, you know.
French doesn't matter. Didn't we go through this huge process over the last, 30, 40 years? I can't remember how long. You know, French has got to be the second language of the country. Quebec was all up in arms. They tried to separate from the nation. They've got more political pull than the West does. We all know why, because that's how it's stacked. And this guy thinks that French doesn't matter to the French. They don't care. They just want what we can give them. Well, they are pretty selfish, and they definitely do like to, suck on the Alberta teat, for lack of a better expression, because that's what they want to do. They always want something, but this guy's going to bring unity. This guy's going to lead the Liberal Party. Phenomenal. What else is going on? Well, Trudeau demands country unity. So in the midst of this potential 51st state accusation to Trudeau, which I really think that, there's probably some seriousness in Donald Trump's statement like that. But I also think he gets to pick at Trudeau because he knows how useless he is. He has zero respect for the guy because the guy's never earned any respect ever in anything that he's ever done at all. And so he's all up in arms, 51st state. He comes back from a negotiation with Trump that he absolutely failed at. I mean, I went over that last week. You sit down with someone to negotiate, they're kind of your counterpart or your enemy, and you disclose to them your weakest link before you even start the debate or the discussion. He's a retard, right? So now he wants country unity to bring the nation together to fight against the United States and tariffs and make them the bad guy. Well, then when that looks like it's not going to be even feasible or possible, and the idiots that he's got in this group is every single premier of every other province in this country thinks that they're going to stand up with him. I mean, did you see the comments that Ford is making? So Ford is aligned with Trudeau, but not aligned with Trudeau, but only if he's going to get something out of it. Wow, that sounds like jag meat. So Trudeau's all pissed off because now he's got a new enemy that he wants to create.
Right now, Pierre Poilievre, who wants to be Prime Minister for all Canadians, has a choice to make. Either he stands up to fight for all Canadians alongside all premiers and the federal government that are doing that, or he chooses to stand with Danielle Smith, Kevin O'Leary, and ultimately Donald Trump.
So Trudeau has created the enemy that CBC News, Global TV, ITV, CTV, whatever, can all get on the bandwagon and go, these are the enemies now. We need to face these people because they're breaking into our potential negotiation with the United States, and they're going to ruin the country because we need to band together. Where was Trudeau's solidarity when Alberta needed to build a pipeline? Where is Trudeau's unity in the country when it comes to distribution of wealth? And we all know where the Alberta wealth goes. It pays all the bills that this guy keeps throwing money at third world countries and other provinces, like he doesn't have to be in charge of it. I mean, budgets balance themselves. Yeah, that's a Trudeau claim. I want you to watch this one more time because it's mind-boggling.
Right now, Pierre Poilievre, who wants to be Prime Minister for all Canadians, has a choice to make. Either he stands up to fight for all Canadians alongside all premiers and the federal government that are doing that, or he chooses to stand with Danielle Smith, Kevin O'Leary, and ultimately Donald Trump.
That's his cheap shot at Pierre. That's his cheap shot. He has nothing better to come up with than that he's going to side with Donald Trump and he's going to side with Danielle. Well, you know something? I hope he does, because I hope that Pierre understands which side of the bread the butter is on and where that butter comes from. Because let's all remember, and of course we do in Western Canada, where the money comes from that feeds the pot that Trudeau seems to just distribute around the world at whim in whatever fashion he sees fit. But he's a very powerful influencer, right? He's a bad guy. He's a tough motherfucker. He's a tough guy, really tough guy. In so tough that he blocked Elon Musk. Wow, that's the power of that just blows my mind. In the meantime, what else is happening out there? Well, Danielle Smith has been down in the U.S., apparently on a holiday, but then I believe she was at the inauguration today. She's down there hobnobbing with all the locals, trying to get a better deal for us, trying to get a better deal for this province. And I really do hope that whatever footwork she did has made a difference, because apparently today, and I saw another news release, that Donald Trump and the administration has decided to stand off on the tariffs to Canada for a while till they can assess the situation. Now, maybe it's just posturing. Maybe it's an opportunity for him to wake up the federal government and to make them realize that there's some choices we have to make here. 51st state is my personal choice. I would prefer that. However, if we can work together and get the western part of this country to actually get the eastern part of this country to understand where the money comes from, where the economic growth of this country comes from, and that we are interconnected. There's a relationship between the United States and Canada that we should never, ever break or jeopardize. And Trudeau wants to just throw it all out the window. So let's hope that Danielle's down there making some moves, getting some things to be in a better situation, in a better position for us and for the United States. On another side note, again, the 51st state isn't really that bad an idea as far as I'm concerned. A lot of changes happened in the United States. Pretty impressive. Things happening in the world. Recently, 2 judges in Iran, I'm going to post this picture, were assassinated. Now, these 2 individuals have been very instrumental in pushing and furthering Sharia law and the Muslim ideology. And apparently, someone who was pissed off with that process assassinated these 2 guys. So now they're kind of up in arms, wondering what's going on. Yeah, you got to wonder, who did that? How did that happen? I'm not sure. Apparently, Texas has said no Sharia law period will ever happen in the U.S. in that state at all, ever. It's never going to happen. I like that. I think that's a pretty cool idea. But you know what? That's been the summary of the week. And today's Monday night going on here now, and we've got a new week ahead of us. Today was the inauguration day. 47th is in the House. What an incredible day. Of course, I watched most of it, watched the introductions, watched President Donald Trump and his wife enter the church and have the church service that they had, walk into the complex where the inauguration was held, and watch the fineness of it. It was really interesting to watch the pile of Democrats that were all stuck on one side of Donald Trump while the proceedings were going on. Technical difficulties, and a great vocalist carried the tune. Everybody sang along. I mean, I'm standing up for the American anthem. I always have. My patriotism for the U.S. is pretty well known amongst my friends. I really have a lot of love for the United States of America. Not so much for Canada because of the bozos that are out east that seem to, this government in this country never seems to be accountable. Doesn't matter what they get away with. It just gets passed along and nobody ever cares at the end. I'm not sure how that works. But anyway, back to the inauguration. It was incredible. Donald Trump's speech was priceless. The expression on Hillary's face as he spoke about how corrupt and how bad the Biden regime has been over the last 4 years and how destructive it's been to the nation. I mean, it was awesome. He did it with such class. He certainly laid out there for everybody to hear that he knew what was going on, and right away immediately stated what there will be two genders recognized in the United States of America. So this crazy, weird, woke agenda, he's going to shut that shit down, and I'm really happy about that. Then he puts the United States into a state of emergency at the border crossing. He's going to shut that down. He's going to deport criminals. I mean, there's millions of people in that country that have managed to migrate in there all to buy votes, kind of the same thing that Trudeau does. And the corruption and the organized crime is really bad. And the transferring of human cargo, I mean, it's insane what the world's doing and what they've allowed to happen in that nation. Same thing we've done. It's the same crap. So it's really awesome to see that. Donald Trump declared that cartels are designated global terrorist organizations. Man, he's kicking some ass. And he did it in such a great way today. Everything about the inauguration was phenomenal. I personally would have loved to have wiped that smirk off of Hillary Clinton's face, or at least with a subpoena and all the rest of those Democrats. And then here's Joe Biden in the 11th hour. He's giving pardons to all of his family members, anybody and everybody he could think of that may have been complicit to all of the shenanigans that went on there. And I mean, he's not writing the plan. His puppeteers have been shaking that tree and dragging him along for the entire time period. I don't think he's functional. In fact, I think that during Trump's speech, he probably fell asleep a couple of times, at least once. It was interesting to watch the entire crowd stand in respect of Donald Trump's policies that he was placing forward in his speech. And all those Democrats just sat down there and seethed. You could see that they were having a really tough time with it. But hey, I would have loved to, at the end of that speech, it would have been cool if he would have just said, okay, and now the FBI will come in the room and arrest all these people and take them into custody. But, it's a good thing that he's the diplomat and I'm not. There's so much spin on that corruption. It's pretty amazing. But, all government officials in that whole craziness in the U.S. have shielded themselves from that accountability. I mean, he's handed out awards to George Soros. And speaking of Soros, so the junior Soros posted this on X today. There was a photograph of a windshield in a car, and the windshield had a bullet hole in it. And Soros Jr. had $47 in his hand, showing it in a picture. What does that tell you? What does that say? I mean, that's crazy shit. The world seems dark and sinister, but remember, there's a force far greater than that evil, and it always wins, and the truth will always prevail. The light shines, and the truth comes forward out of that darkness, and it can't be extinguished. Doesn't matter what. The truth is going to prevail, and it's going to come out. That's kind of the wrap of the week. The inauguration was phenomenal. Great way to start the next week, and I've got some really fun news. I'm going to play a little clip here, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about it.
It's like he has amnesia, but guess what? I don't. So I remembered what you did for 50 years, and his may God protect the troops at the end I think that is what sickens me the most, because not only because of the service members that died from his botched Afghanistan release, but him coming out and ensuring that Raven 23 were prosecuted, him colluding with Hillary Clinton so that they could make sure for our Iraqi ally that we could string out military service members, veterans who served this country, who put their lives on this line for this country, and for him at the helm. So things like that.
So Raven 23, that's a really cool story, and it's really close to my heart. There was a private military organization that was involved in the war in Iraq over years, provided multiple levels of security for locations, dignitaries, etc. Just so you know, they never lost one single dignitary in the entire time that they worked overseas in non-permissive environments. There was a group within them called the Raven 23. They were QRF. And there's a friend of mine, Paul, who was one of the members of Raven 23. What ended up happening was they got falsely accused, falsely arrested, falsely convicted, and imprisoned by a kangaroo court in the United States that Biden was directly involved with. So my friend Paul and the members of Raven 23 who did time in jail went through hell. They really did, and spent years in jail tried to appeal. It was an absolute catastrophe. Paul has said that he's going to come on my podcast and share his story. That's phenomenal. Paul's played a pretty integral part of my spiritual path in my life in the last year. I'm honored to have him on board. I'm going to play another clip just so you can kind of see who I'm talking about.
Mr. President, hey, Pete Hegseth here. I'm here with two huge fans of yours whose lives you changed single-handedly. Meet Paul and Kristen Slough. Paul was part of Raven 23. You pardoned him and saved his life, really, and they've got a message for you.
Mr. President, on December 22nd, 2020, you actually gave me my life back, along with 3 guys that I was in combat with. And I just want to thank you sincerely from the bottom of my heart, and hope to be able to do that in person one day. And going forward, we want to do what we can to help you with your campaign to restore America.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted you to know that everything that we see you going through the J6ers, we personally went through the judicial, just corruption, the diesel therapy, everything you're seeing with these guys. So if you need people that can speak to this credibly, we're on your team, and we just want you to know that.
Yes, sir.
They're two of the best, Mr. President. They love you, as do we. Keep up the fight.
Godspeed,
Thank
sir.
you so much, sir.
That's Paul. Incredible man. An incredible wife who stood behind him and beside him through all of that, through his persecution and his redemption. President Trump pardoning them, which literally, like he said, he saved his life. And so Paul's going to come on the show. We're going to set up a time. It'll be in the near future, and he's going to tell us about his story, tell about what happened over there, what he went through, but more importantly, and most importantly, he's going to tell us how his faith has moved mountains in not just his life, but in the life of many others. Paul's been a really close friend, and he's been there during my spiritual journey that's been about a year now, and I'm really excited to have him on the show. I just think we'll have a ton of stuff to talk about. On another really cool note, I have a good friend of mine, client of mine. He's in the motorcycle community. Gary and I have had many conversations over the last year. Spent a lot of time discussing scripture, talking about things that are important from a spiritual perspective, and I've spoken with him about coming on the show too, which will be really cool because it'll be just really fun to talk about plain ordinary people and how their spiritual pathways have intersected and changed their lives and changed so much of what they believe and how they function on a day to day. We're going into a new week. Let's remember something, and I'm going to leave you with this. John chapter 1, verse 5, the light shines in the darkness, and darkness cannot overcome it. Let's all remember in the dark times that we've experienced that there's always light ahead. There's always a brightness and a light that's going to prevail over all of this stuff. And it doesn't matter how we perceive it, that's what's going to happen. And I have confidence in that. John 3:19 through 21 says, this is the judgment. The light has come into the world. Evil people fear the light because their works are evil and will be fully exposed by the light. President Trump is going to expose a lot of things in the United States, and I really hope that trickles over into our country. And I hope that we hold on to that brightness and hold on to that truth and live for that truth and start making our politicians accountable and start making some changes that'll be better for the world. Thank you very much for watching my podcast. Session 4 has been fun to make. Like it says down there, follow that track, give me your likes, subscribe, tell your friends, spread this around, and especially spread it around because I'm going to have Paul and Raven 23 guys on the show, and we're going to have some really awesome conversations, and I really look forward to the next session. Thanks for being here for me. You have a God-blessed week, and I'll talk to you on the weekend. Bye for now.